Headphone highlights. Hello, I'm Master Marslander, and this is the new Dan Clark Audio Noire XO. It is the successor to the AON 2 Open, and word on the street is this also might be the best open back headphone that Dan Clark Audio has made to date. It has a new shell, a new driver, and incorporates DCA's unique tuning system that is found in their more higher-end headphones. Besides it potentially being DCA's best open back headphone to date, the Noire XO here is also situated to be their best in class of DCA's mid-range lineup of headphones. And to see for ourselves whether or not it will live up to that claim specifically, we're going to be comparing the XO to some other Dan Clark Audio headphones later in the video. But before we get too far into it, a big shout out to Audio 46 for providing the Noire XO to us for this video. So thank you very much, Audio 46. If you're not familiar, Audio 46 is an online storefront for all things hi-fi and high-end audio. And I can speak from personal experience the incredible, friendly, knowledgeable, and helpful staff that they have on hand. You'll be hard-pressed to find a better place to scratch that audio gearhead itch. You'll find links to Audio 46's storefront in the description down below, but regarding the XO here, all thoughts and opinions about this headphone moving forward are going to be my own. What a striking headphone. Look at this thing. Man, Dan Clark Audio is always innovating in their industrial design and trying out new kind of shapes and materials, and I really love to see it. This is a very interesting looking headphone. It has this kind of Dune-like aesthetic to me, but I can assure you that no Bene Gesserit are manipulating my thoughts or actions here. And surprisingly, the design here, especially this kind of cup grill shape, whatever, surprisingly, this is not triggering my trypophobia, which is a huge relief. Because man, sometimes it gets me. But that, for whatever reason, it doesn't bother me. Now, to keep the headphone lightweight, yet robust and strong, it combines a combination of titanium, aluminum or aluminium, and carbon materials for the build. As we've already stated, it is an open back planar headphone, and one of the first I've actually heard from DCA, the only other exception being the Stealth. In kind of your typical DCA build format, we have these unique yoke arms, these arm hinges here. It's this very kind of organic way of utilizing a yoke system where you do have plenty of tilt and motion. You don't really have much swivel. The swivel isn't really happening in the arms. It's more happening with the headband. The headband just kind of allows the headphone to go wibbly wobbly like so. So you do have plenty of articulation here, and it's a very kind of organic level of articulation, the way that it kind of stretches outward. And with these hinge arms, it could even fold in on itself like so if you needed it to be a little bit more portable. Now, admittedly, I do think that this is a little bit gimmicky, but it does it very well. It does a good job at it. And yeah, these arms here, this yoke system has always impressed me. I always think it looks very, I don't know, like biotech. It's super cool. I really like this arm system, and I'm glad that they're still using it here with the XO. The pads on the XO are actually updated from the Noire X for better control of foam movement. So apparently the foam in the original Noire X is a little bit kind of looser, a little bit not as dense. So the density in this pad is a little bit more dense, a little more dense in the foam. But as you can see, it still gives very nicely. It has this very, I don't know, soft squishiness, this plushiness to it that even if it is a little on the denser side in terms of the foam itself, it still feels great, but it just happens to return to its shape relatively quickly. They are a bit of a hybrid pad with a lovely, incredibly smooth and soft Alcantara suede on the face, leather on the outside, and perforated leather along the inside, but not entirely on the inside. That's interesting. I just noticed that now. Wow, okay. So I'm going to try and get this a little bit closer for you to see this. The back of the pad, where it sits behind your ear, is solid leather, but the front of the pad, which would be in front of your ear, is a perforated leather. Right there, perforated, and back here, solid. I've never seen that before. That's really interesting. I don't know if they do that with the Noire X or not, but that's really cool. In any case, it's a big, thick pad. It's very, very plush and comfy and squishy and lovely, with extra padding right behind your ear as well. And the Alcantara suede is just so smooth and soft on the face here. An extremely well-made hybrid pad. Then going into this head strap here, yes, we just had kind of these wires, but the actual headband here, the strap here, is a comfort strap that is adjustable through elastic. So there's no kind of fussing with it to get the right height adjustment or anything like that. You just put this on your head, and through the elastic alone, it's going to form fit to your head shape. Kind of similar to the E3, we have Noire stamped up here on the top. Not stamped, I'm sorry. Stitched up here on the top of the comfort strap. We do have natural stitching along the edge of the comfort strap. And then on the underside, we have more of that kind of star diamond pattern that we saw on the E3 as well, just not with that blue stitching. We have a just more subtle black stitching instead. And then in terms of your connectors, we have the standard DCA Mini 4-pin, which we see in pretty much all Dan Clark Audio headphones. Again, a little bit proprietary, but not too bad. And it is a very satisfying connection to work with as long as you have the cable for it. In terms of your specs, the Noire XO incorporates a new driver design, and notably it's using the same Acoustic Metamaterial Tuning System, or AMTS, that is found in the E3. Looks like this crazy thing, which actually, this one, for whatever reason, does trigger my trypophobia, but not the face. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why that is that way. Human brains are weird. But yeah, it uses the same tuning system that you get in the E3. Very, very cool. And man, when we talk about sound, we'll see how well that actually performs for the headphone. It has 27 ohms of impedance and around 94 decibels of sensitivity. And on my little kitchen scale, it weighs in at about 407 grams. In terms of accessories for the XO, you get to choose what kind of cable you would like, starting with a 3.5mm to 1/4 inch, a 4-pin balanced XLR, or a balanced 4.4mm. Optionally, you could upgrade that cable to the super premium Vivo cable like what I have here. And with the Vivo cable, you get the same connecting types, but with the added benefit of being able to kind of select various different kinds of cable lengths for just that extra kind of panache. And the Vivo cable, as I said with the E3, it is the same cable that you got with that I showed off with the E3. This cable is really, really fantastic. It feels so incredibly premium. The terminations are solid and extremely well made and well put together. And the chunk of this cable, it looks like it'd be heavy, but it's not. It is so lovely and drapey and lightweight, but big and thick. Oh, this is the kind of large cable I can really appreciate. Usually big, chunky, hunky cables are just kind of too bulky and heavy for me, but the Vivo cables are so nice, man. They feel so good. And like I said, they terminate to that typical standard Dan Clark Audio 4-pin balanced connectors there, like kind of mini XLRs, and they are color-coded red for right, so that it's easy to identify your channels. It is a fantastic cable if you decide you do want to upgrade for just that little extra bling. In your accessories package, you'll also receive a breakdown of instructions and safety information, and also maintenance for your XO. I always appreciate this with the Dan Clark stuff because they really kind of go all out with making sure that you know how to take as good care of this headphone as you can so that it lasts you a long, long time. And having these little illustrations and pictures makes it very, very clear how everything works. And, even folding the headphone into itself feels unnatural when you have to just kind of figure it out, but seeing it broken down for you, it makes it a lot easier. And of course, we also get the certificate of authenticity that you also typically get with your Dan Clark Audio headphones. I have right here, serial number 680, T00680. And there's my manufacturing date, I guess. Cool stuff. Yeah, and cleaning cloths as well. Also included is this little teeny bag. Very nice little bag. This bag is not meant to put your headphones in. Headphones are not going to fit. This is really more for your cables because it's a nice freaking cable. You got to protect it. And yeah, this nice branded bag. It's just kind of a soft velour kind of bag. Little simple pull tie bag. Yeah, it's a good little cable bag. Not big enough for your headphones, but that's okay because you get the very well made, very nice clamshell case. The same case that you get with the Noire X. But yeah, it's got some little foam bits in there as well to kind of fit everything together. It's a good case. Hard shell, Noire on the front there, a little bit of a butt back here, and then the zipper itself is branded Dan Clark Audio. And again, getting the headphone in the case is a little bit of a challenge, and it's a good thing you have instructions to show you how to do it, because it's not the most intuitive thing. You do have to fold the headphone in on itself. And I'm going to see if I can get this first try. I'm going to guess probably not, but we're going to go for it. And I believe it goes like this. That feels pretty good. Yeah, there. And look at that. Look how like snug and tight that is. Boom. So it's a great case. Good case. It's super solid. Your headphones are going to be just fine in this thing. But it's a snug fit. You're not going to probably be able to get your cables in there, unfortunately. But that's what the little bag is for. See how it all comes together? Wowee. Cool beans. There's your accessories. Fit and comfort for the XO. So it follows, again, that same kind of ear-shaped design that we see in a lot of Dan Clark Audio's headphones in the last few years. And this ear-shaped design is still pretty ingenious, because wouldn't you know it, when your headphone is shaped like an ear, it fits you pretty freaking well. First of all, the clamp force is really easy to manage. It's really not clampy at all. I don't feel a whole lot of pressure coming in on the side of my face. And even though this ear shape does come down to a point right about where my jawline is, again, because the clamp force is pretty relaxed, I don't feel a whole lot of pressure right there in my jawline, so I'm not really getting any discomfort and pressure points anywhere around the ear or down to the jawline. The comfort strap, this elastic comfort strap, fantastic. It really feels pretty much identical to that of the E3. And it fits you just like magic. It just automatically stretches and fits to the size of your head without any issue. And I have absolutely zero hot spots. It completely form fits the top of my head, and it's not providing any sort of resistance with that elastic. I don't feel like the headband, the comfort strap, is pushing down on my head because of that elastic. It's just like, it's buttery. It's buttery, beautifully fit. It just goes on there. It's just a great comfort strap and absolutely nails on the fit. The ear pads, they are soft, even though they are a little bit more dense than that of the Noire X. They're very, very soft, and they kind of form and squish to the sides of my head and to the shape of my ear and around my ear, and just about the most perfect way they can. And that Alcantara on the face of the pads feels just delightful on the skin. And the size of the pads, the actual ear volume of the pads, is wonderful. I don't feel like my ears are touching any part of the pad. That's phenomenal. That's fantastic. And I have larger ears than normal, I think. But yeah, I don't really... My ears are just kind of floating around inside these things. Wonderful, wonderful fit. In terms of the cable here, no microphonics. Absolutely none. Again, just like with the E3, this Vivo cable, the premium cable from DCA, it's so freaking good, man. It's such a fantastic cable. And it's so lightweight for being such a big honkin' chonkin' cable. I can drop it and I don't feel it. I don't feel the weight of this cable whatsoever. And it is completely silent. Excellent. So in terms of our comfort cloud scale system, how many clouds of comfort do we want to give the XO? It really fits just about identical to that of the E3. So we're going to give it, I mean, how could I not give it identical rating that we did the E3? So a solid 8 clouds of comfort. It really is wonderful. What a fantastic fit. We're very close to being on cloud 9. I think really the only thing that could turn this into a cloud 9 at this point, with all things considered, is if the headphone itself just weighed a little bit less. If it was more like it's a stretch. If they can get this to like a 300 gram headphone, I think this would be a Cloud 9 like that. But as it is, it's wonderful. It fits great and it feels super good on the head. And I can listen to this and have listened to this for very long hours in session. Sound performance for the DCA Noire XO. This is an incredibly well-balanced headphone. And in typical DCA fashion, it is natural, neutral, and just precisely tuned. In terms of its overall sound signature, it's really not too different from their higher-end headphone, the E3. But there are some differences, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But what this certainly is one of, if not maybe the most close tuned to the Harman target curve in a full-size open planar headphone that I've heard today. It is so close to the Harman target. It is extremely impressive, especially for an open back planar. And what helps it be so impressive, besides obviously hitting that mark, is its bass performance. The sub bass in particular, the sub bass with the XO is wonderful. Sub bass performance is deep, precise, and clear with tons of depth. Even for a planar, it is wildly responsive and just wickedly quick and fast and snappy. It's super intense. Going into the mid bass, it is thick and meaty and growly and just impactful and explosive, but also well managed, well tuned, so that's not going all over the place where you don't want it to be and mudding up your mid range. The mid bass is also wickedly fast with just awesome hitting attacks. It's just such a fun and joyful kind of low end while still being responsibly tuned. The mid range is very airy. It's very cozy, kind of like wrapping yourself up in a cloud of sound. And that cloud is crystal clear, let me tell you. It's not a foggy cloud at all. It is so resolving. It is so precise and so, man, true to life, natural, and real sounding. Again, just the precision and the tuning that DCA has been treating their headphones lately is remarkable. The realism is, I don't know if there's any words for it. It's so strikingly real and immersive. It's borderline uncanny. It delivers really excellent layering and separation where you are able to really identify where everything is happening and what is happening, where it's coming from in that mid-range and really everywhere else as well. But it adds on just this little kind of hint of warmth to it to help make things just feel buttery smooth and delightful, truly delightful. Vocals are forward and inviting. They're vibrant and crystal clear and also provide just this wonderfully pleasing timbre to them. Strings and woods are very well defined and isolated so that you can appreciate them individually and they don't get lost in the mixture of the ensemble. It's just everything is so well separated and so well positioned. We'll talk more about this when we get to more technicalities, but it is, again, just this hyper realistic, immersive experience where you really feel like you can tangibly reach out and touch all of these instruments and you identify them with total ease. The high mids are where you're going to start to really benefit with the planar speed, the snappiness of these drivers, because the transients in those high mids going up into the treble range are just aggressive. They're so fun and so engaging. And then it just seamlessly transitions into your treble range. Then going up into that treble range, you get a great sense of refinement and precision. And it's able to hit pretty much any kind of hot, spicy note you could want, but it's not the most brilliant kind of treble range. It actually, I would say, maybe reduces and subtly cuts off the hottest, spiciest bits of your treble range to keep everything kind of smooth and relaxed. It has almost a similar treatment to the mid-range where there's this slight little warmth dripped on top of it like honey that just rolls off the sharpness, rolls off the blinding brights, and makes it for a very almost really relaxing and easy to listen to sort of treble range. And I really appreciate it for that. I really appreciate that it makes the treble easier to listen to and a lot more kind of, for lack of a better word, enjoyable. But I would be lying if I didn't say I wish it allowed it to get just a little bit more crispness, a little bit more shimmer and sparkle in that treble range. I think would have tickled my fancy a little bit more. Maybe my tastes are changing, I don't really know, but having just a little bit more treble out of this would have really made my day. Technicalities. Soundstage is enormous. It's a very open, very spacious sound that gives you this great sense of enormity. Imaging is just dead on, super crazy precise. And even though it has this really wide staging presence, this really open airiness to it, it's almost as if the imaging itself is just hyper-focused. It's super tight, and you can identify, again, going to the kind of realism that we had, particularly in that mid-range, I kind of award a lot of that to the way that this delivers on imaging. The imaging helps with that so much. Everything is so precise and so easily identifiable, and the positioning is just fantastic. And even with all this kind of hyper precision and hyper neutral, natural kind of sound, it's also a blast to listen to with super engaging, fun dynamics that are only held back just a little bit by the lack of the extra kind of spiciness that you could have gotten from the treble, but are getting just slightly cut off or gooeyed over with that honey that we talked about earlier. But all this together is just an incredibly cinematic package. It is extremely pleasing to listen to, and I think pretty much anyone anywhere is going to be able to really enjoy this, and it's going to be an enjoyable, easy to listen to sound that it also brings in this crazy amount of precision and technical accuracy that you don't usually see from headphones that are this kind of fun. So now something a little bit different that I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to give you an album recommendation specifically for the XOs here. Because what this headphone did for me is it allowed me to jump down some weird rabbit holes that led me to some really nostalgic stuff. Stuff I haven't listened to for a long time, many years, but that I know by heart and was able to just really sink my teeth into while listening to those nostalgic tracks with the XO. And one album in particular that I felt the XO absolutely excelled at in just such an exceptional way is the absolute masterpiece score of Medal of Honor Frontline by Michael Giacchino. This is, for me anyway, one of the greatest video game soundtracks ever made, and maybe, at least to me, one of Giacchino's best works he's ever done. It is such an incredible album, such an incredible score. Tracks like Manor House Rally and Sturmgeist's Armored Train are just full octane action. Epically heroic brass and strings, while also allowing Giacchino's kind of signature subtleties and nuances to flourish outward and just really tickle at your senses. Likewise, vocal presentation and clarity in tracks like Arnhem is stunningly beautiful and truly haunting. Even if you're not into video games, if you love music, especially orchestral arrangements, you owe it to yourself to listen to this score. It handedly outclasses anything being made in Hollywood today. So all of this is sounding really good for the XO here. But like I said at the very beginning of this video, this headphone is being positioned as the kind of poster child of the mid-range headphone lineup for DCA. The asking price for the Noire XO is $12.99 US. And that does pretty much land it smack dab right in the middle between their more $500 range and their upwards of $2,000 range headphones. So it is positioned in terms of price, a mid-range DCA headphone. But does that sound match that position? And to figure that out, we're going to compare it to two other DCA headphones. This is the AON Closed X, a collaboration between Dan Clark Audio and Drop.com. It's priced at $499, and what I still believe to be one of the best closed-back planars available under $500. A phenomenally good headphone. Extremely good. And how does it compare with the XO? Right out of the gate, the XO provides much more resolution and information than the AON. The AON does a very good job. It's a very commendable job, but certainly not as polished or refined as the XO. The AON is a lot more kind of focused and forward than the XO. Everything with it feels more directly in front of you rather than around you. The AON also might actually be a bit more evenly neutral overall than the XO. Vocals are much more intimate in the AON and more freeing with the XO. The XO delivers more emphasized low end, while the AON delivers a brighter and more brilliant top end. And the AON soundstage is surprisingly wide for a closeback, but it's still not nearly as spacious or airy as the XO. And then we have, of course, the E3, priced at $2,000 and one of the most technically impressive and precise headphones that I have ever heard. The XO is actually very similar in sound signature to the E3, but with some notable differences. The E3 is more resolving all around, particularly in the mid and sub bass. Mid-range is pretty similar in presentation, with the exception being in the vocal range. Vocals on the XO are lovely and inviting, but the vocals in the E3 are so natural and precise, and it really stands out when you are comparing them directly side by side. The E3 delivers a more brilliant top end, giving me some extra kind of sparkle and clarity that I'm wanting from the XO. The XO has great soundstage and separation, but compared to the E3, it is a very different staging experience. The XO, in comparison to the E3, sounds kind of intimate and intense, with maybe a more focused kind of delivery, with the E3 sounding huge, immersive, and grandiose. And this is kind of insane when the E3 is the closed back headphone here on the table. Open back, closed back, and the closed back, I'm telling you, man, the closed back feels larger. It feels more spacious. That's not to say that the XO doesn't have staging and it doesn't have space and air. It absolutely does. But it's a testament to how incredibly well tuned and designed the E3 is to give you that very theatrical, cinematic, immersive kind of sound. And finally, the E3 is a little bit more difficult to drive than the XO. If I were to give you an analogy of how to comprehend the difference between these three headphones, it would be this. The AON is like full HD 1080p super sampled upscaled video resolution. It's more than you really could ever need. It looks amazing, it's great, and it's very, very compatible. The XO is like taking a step up to a high refresh rate 1440p resolution. So you got a much deeper, denser pixel ratio, maybe in a little bit more brighter contrast, and you got that higher refresh rate that makes everything just feel really, really smooth and lovely. And then with the E3, you are just going balls to the walls, full 4K cinema master color grading awesomeness. Full amazing cinema level of resolution and filmmaking. So there you go. There's your analogy comparison of how these are together. All of them are fantastic. All of them are great, but they are priced to their performance. 500, around 1,000, around 2,000. Boom. So the Noire XO here is priced to be right there between the AON and the E3. It absolutely nails that. But $1,300 to many of you, I'm sure, probably still sounds like a big price to drop on what is a mid-range headphone. But we have to understand, we're talking about a Dan Clark Audio mid-range headphone, not an headphone industry mid-range headphone. And I assure you there is a world of difference between the two. So we've come this far and the headphone has proven to be a pretty, we'll just say interesting headphone for sure. So we have to ask ourselves now, does the Dan Clark Audio Noire XO belong on the headphone wall? It is an investment, but I am confident in this investment. It has exceptional build quality and a precise and wonderfully pleasing sound. But as I've mentioned before, one rule of the headphone wall is that only headphones that I actually own get to sit on the headphone wall. And as I opened this video letting you know, this headphone was provided to me by Audio 46. Thank you again, Audio 46. So by that logic, it would have to be eliminated from consideration. But I liked this thing well enough in the time I had with it, in the several weeks that I've been testing it and listening to it. I enjoyed it so much, I bought it from them. So this XO is now officially my XO. And that means, yeah, it is eligible for the headphone wall. But as always, if a headphone is earning its way onto the headphone wall, it means that another headphone that is already positioned on the wall has to come down. It has to be replaced. So what headphone is the Noire XO going to be replacing from the headphone wall? After what we have been exploring in this video, you might expect that I'd be bringing down the DCA AON Closed X. However, the AON Closed X is $500 as opposed to the Noire XO's $1,300. And I still today feel that the Closed X here is still one of the best values of a $500 closeback planar there is today. So it's not leaving the wall. That being said, though, we are going to be replacing another Dan Clark Audio headphone from the wall. The Ether CX. Technically, this isn't actually a Dan Clark Audio headphone. It's a Mr. Speaker headphone. Because yeah, this headphone was available when I purchased it before Mr. Speaker changed to Dan Clark Audio. So it's a Mr. Speaker Ether CX. The Ether CX is a very well-tuned, very precise headphone and priced at $900. So it's actually a lot more comparable to the XO. In terms of its price range, it still kind of fits in that more kind of Dan Clark mid-range lineup, closer to $1,000. And it's a closed back as opposed to the XO's open back. But even though it is a very precise headphone, a very technical headphone, it falls short of what you get with the XO. The XO offers so much better resolution and precision, has such better imaging and I don't know, positioning and separation. It does a lot of what the Ether can do, but miles ahead of it. There's just no denying that the improvements and the additional technology that DCA has been implementing in their headphones, especially with the XO here, it just completely outclasses stuff like the old DCA stuff like the Ether CX here. It's a great headphone. And I do really dig it, and I love it, and it served me well for a long time. But I cannot deny that this is the future, and it is better. So thank you very much to the Ether CX here. You've served me well for many years. We love you and we respect you, and you will be retiring from the headphone wall with honor. I'll find a real nice cozy place for this thing, because this is a kind of a nostalgic headphone for me. I've had it for a long time. So that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot. And do me a favor, go ahead and just bully the devil out of that like button down there. Smack it, punch it, do whatever you gotta do, but bully the hell out of it. It deserves it. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'll see you again soon.